So an important thing as well, an important thread that I put together. It's about the people that was complicit in the genocide. So all of this time that this has been going on, in Gaza, this genocide. Yeah, of course, Israel are the main ones to blame, but just remember this genocide couldn't have been possible without the complicity and the funding from all of these Western and even some Arab nations. Without people like, of course, Netanyahu's like the key player here. He's the one who's, doing the land grab, and he's the one who's bombing the Palestinians. Yeah, but without people like Joe Biden, without people like Starmer and people in the UK, without even Arab countries like Egypt. Egypt's been letting this genocide happen. They're actually next door to Gaza, But without all these people, this genocide would have never been possible. So let's never forget the names of these traitors. Let's never, ever, ever forget the names of these traitors. And, they'll go down in history for being on the wrong side of it. They'll be on the wrong side of history for eternity. And I don't care if Israel never touches Palestine again. I don't care if this is the end forever now. We will never, ever, ever forget these people. So let's get into this thread. So, I said the mass slaughter and destruction in Gaza didn't happen in isolation. It was enabled by leaders who funded, armed, and shielded Israel from accountability. Their silence and support allowed this genocide to unfold. So here's 10 world leaders that we will never forget. So, of course, Benjamin Netanyahu, probably the most obvious one. But under Netanyahu's leadership, Gaza was bombed relentlessly, killing thousands of civilians. His policies enforced apartheid, blockades, and ethnic cleansing, all in the name of security. Entire neighborhoods were turned to rubble. Joe Biden, the US provided $3.8 billion annually in military aid to Israel, even as its airstrikes killed children in schools and hospitals. Biden's called Israel's onslaught self-defense, and he blocked every single UN resolution calling for a ceasefire. Every single one. Every single one. Never forget that, man. I know he's probably not the one that's, the main culprit. He's probably got people in his ear. I mean, the guy's not in an offensive way. The guy's obviously got like dementia or something and he's being used, but still, it came out of his mouth, all of this stuff. He's the one who put the blockades in, whether he's been told to say it or not. So it's just the whole of the US, really, the whole of the US government. I mean, obviously, when I'm talking about these countries, I'm not talking about the people that live there. Of course I'm not. Okay, so keep that in mind. Of course, even my own country, the UK. Rishi Sunak. Sunak parroted Israel's propaganda, claiming the genocide was justified. His government armed Israel with millions in military exports. Sunak even visited Israel during the assault to show solidarity, completely ignoring the Palestinians' lives. UK export licenses for arms to Israel exceeded 400 million between 2022 and 2023, fueling the violence. So yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Emmanuel Macron, the French. Macron not only defended Israel's war crimes, but also cracked down on pro-Palestine protests in France, criminalising dissent. He labelled the Palestinian resistance as terrorism, siding with Israel's propaganda machine. Macron also deployed riot police to silence peaceful pro-Palestine demonstrations, and he suspended civil liberties in several cities. So yeah, fuck Macron as well. Olaf Scholz. Scholz used Germany's Nazi past to justify unconditional support for Israel. His government labelled critics of Israel's war crimes as anti-Semitic, and he suppressed solidarity with Palestine. He also ignored mounting evidence of genocide. Germany supplied naval submarines and military tech to Israel, even during the siege of Gaza. Scholz repeatedly vetoed EU sanctions against Israel. Shout out to you, Barry OMT from Texas. I'm glad that you're tuning in. It's great to see as well all of these people in the chat. You guys all come from different parts of the world to tune in, but we're all here for the same purpose. We're all here to talk up about what's going wrong in the world, the genocides going on, all of the corruption around the world. So yeah, it's great to have you here, bro, and thank you for supporting me. Yeah, Macron, the picture of Macron's funny, right? In his little pink pajamas. But yeah, Justin Trudeau. Is that how you say his name? Trudeau? I think it's Trudeau. I've never really known how to say his name. Trudeau painted himself as a human rights advocate, but stayed silent on Israel's atrocities. His government continued to arm Israel while condemning the Palestinian resistance as violence. Canada also exported drone parts and surveillance tech used by Israel for strikes on Gaza. Trudeau refused to acknowledge the humanitarian crisis. So even though he's gone as well, he's not in government no more, we still won't forget you, brother. We still won't forget you, even if we never see your face again. You'll always be remembered on the wrong side in the history books. So yeah. Of course, Al-Sisi. Egypt tightened the Rafah crossing, blocking aid and trapping Palestinians in a war zone. Egypt's Al-Sisi regime cooperated with Israel on Gaza's siege, limiting food, water and medicine to the Strip. So, supposedly meant to be a Muslim country, you know. Supposedly, you're literally the closest person that could be to Gaza. Egypt's literally next door to Gaza. You've got Israel there, and then you've got Gaza in the middle, Palestine, and then you've got Egypt there. And they've, you know, what did they do the whole time this genocide's been going on? They built the wall. They made the wall bigger so the Palestinians couldn't get in. One Palestinian actually managed to get in at one point, and he was brutally attacked by the Egyptian soldiers. What else did Egypt do? There was talks of certain Egyptian companies that were charging Palestinians like $5,000 to cross in secretly and get out the genocide, you know. So there was literally rinsing the Palestinians for all they had. You know, ties with Israel. He didn't break the Camp David Accords, the deal, whatever it's called. He didn't break that either. The Israelis were killing Egyptian soldiers, and he done nothing. Still done nothing to this day. So yeah, Sisi's definitely a coward, you know. And I don't mean that as an insult to the Egyptian people. Of course, there's a lot of great Egyptians out there, the same as there's a lot of great British people out there. I'm talking about the government in particular. So, fuck Sisi as well. Yeah. Antonio Guterres. The UN Secretary General issued hollow statements but took no concrete action. The UN repeatedly failed to implement resolutions against Israel, showing its incompetence in the face of US vetoes. Internal UN reports described Gaza's conditions as unlivable, yet no measures were enforced to support the siege. So yeah, the UN, they all talk a good game, and they don't do nothing. Cowards. Absolute cowards. The Cleopatra said Sisi's a phony clown. I agree, he's a fucking clown. Erdogan, of course. Erdogan claimed to champion Palestine, but continued economic and military ties with Israel. Turkish-Israeli trade volume actually increased during the conflict, and Erdogan's words remained symbolic, with no real political action. So yeah, Erdogan, he always talked a good game about the Palestinians. He always said, you know, he showed so much support and all this and blah blah blah, but never done anything. Never done anything at all. And he actually continued, you know, money was more important. So, Modi from India. Modi openly aligned with Israel, hailing Netanyahu as a close ally. His government abstained from UN resolutions critical of Israel, and he amplified Islamophobic narratives that demonise Palestinians. India-Israel arms trade skyrocketed under Modi, including missile systems that were used in Gaza. So, fuck Modi as well. And we all see what happens to the Muslims out in India, how they're treated. There's clearly an Islamophobia problem over there. They're destroying... They're killing Muslims, they're beating them to death, and Modi's done nothing. And he needs to be kicked out of BRICS. I was saying it's a shame that he's a founding member, because his arse should have been kicked out there if not. And it's a shame he can't be kicked out. So I said, this isn't just about history, it's about accountability. These leaders chose power over justice, profits over humanity, and silence over courage. Their complicity will always be remembered. So what can you do? You can share the thread, of course, demand sanctions, and boycott products funding genocide, and keep amplifying the Palestinian voices.